Hey, everybody. Uh, let's see, I don't think anybody's in here yet, so I'm just going to give it a few minutes here. But welcome to Last Week Today, episode 39. Yeah, we've been doing this for 39 weeks. I don't think it's been in a row. I know I missed a couple here and there, just either technical issues or just other things going on. But hey, 39 is still I'm going to be honest, it's probably 38 more than I thought I would do. Hey, Trev. Good morning again, Psych. Mr. Paul, how are you, sir? Appreciate you guys joining. It's probably going to be a bit of a quicker week again, to be honest with you, just because I didn't do as much. I'll get to all that in a minute, but I do want to thank everybody who last week I was a little under the weather when I came on, as you probably saw. Much better. It was nothing bad. It was just a reaction to we had our flu shot and COVID booster last Friday, so I was definitely feeling the effects, but we were good by, I'd say, Sunday afternoon. Both my wife and I felt the same thing, so kind of knew it wasn't anything serious. But yeah, look, these are the precautions we have to take. Our son is almost 9 months old. He's still building that immunity system. He's going to have his 9-month visit coming up in a couple weeks, right before Thanksgiving. So we're excited about that. Yeah, now you may notice. I'll get into that in a little bit, but I have on my TV going here. I see Brian is still going here too. He was talking a little bit about Dark Web, the upcoming Spider-Man X-Men crossover, or I guess is it Spider-Man or is it Venom? I don't know. Are either you guys reading Venom or Spider-Man right now? I'm not. I've just been reading mostly from Marvel, the X-Men books. Well, I mean, you see what I read. Well, yeah, I was going to get into Dark Web, and then when they released the schedule or the timeline, there's something like, I don't know, I want to say almost 30. Hey, Seth, almost 30 parts to it. And I was like, this would mean I would have to read maybe like 8 extra books that I'm not already reading. So that was a hard pass. That's too much. And to be honest with you, once I have an iPad again, I will probably just read it digitally in a couple months when it's available. I guess that's part of what I was going to go into later on. Yeah, so I'm still without an iPad. Yeah, the battery on this one just completely crapped out, and I found a couple places who were willing to fix my iPad. Now, I'll give you a little background. I bought one of the iPad Pros when they first came out in 2015. I was using it for an online business I used to have. So it was nice because that was a nice write-off. And then it was working great up until last year around this time, yeah, early December, when it just wouldn't hold a charger. I would charge it, and then it would go black within about 5 minutes or so. So I took it to the Apple store, and they replaced it for $100. So, all right, great. What I didn't know is that when they replaced it, it was a refurbished iPad from the same year. I guess I didn't understand that when they went over it, whatnot. So basically, this refurbished iPad is what I've been using for the past year. Went to go use it about 2 weeks ago at this point, and I had it plugged in, and I went to turn it on. It was completely black. So I tried to charge it again. I tried to do a hard reset, the whole shebang. Nothing worked. Went to the Apple store, and they were like, yeah, your computer is considered vintage. And vintage usually means more expensive. In this case, I guess it's more expensive because you have to buy a new one. So I kicked around for a little bit, trying different repair places. The Flood for Brian show. Thanks, Bay. Yeah, I kicked around a little bit, tried to find some repair places. The cheapest quote I got was, I think, $295. And at the end of the day, it was like, well, do I want to put nearly $300 towards fixing an old iPad or get a brand new one? So I am going to get a new one. I think I'm going to get it directly from iPad this time. I've been kind of playing around a little bit with, because everybody's starting to come out with their offers and stuff now. And yeah, it was just I felt more comfortable going to Apple. I don't like going to third parties all that often, especially like a Best Buy or something. I've just had a couple bad experiences with them in particular. And yeah, I mean, look, I know that price-wise, it's not the best out of pocket, but you're getting a gift card to kind of subsidize what you would normally get off. So, I'll use that maybe towards a new keyboard because the case I used, yeah, yeah, and it's like I'm gonna highlight you a second here. I actually was considering not getting an iPad. I was trying to see if I could do basically everything that I was doing on my iPad on my phone, and yeah, you really can't. For one thing, I do a fair amount of art on my iPad. I've gotten used to it. It's just quicker, saves time, saves money from buying supplies because I'm out of supplies right now too, which is a little nerve wracking because I have a deadline on a project for 12/1. So hopefully Apple's going to be able to accommodate that. But like I said, I didn't know you can't use. I'll show you. You can't use a pencil, an Apple Pencil, on an iPhone, which seems ridiculous to me. But what do I know? And I saw a bunch of videos like, oh, you can just use this one, or you can wet your pencil. And I don't want to play around with that, especially wetting the pencil. Yeah, Seth, I'm going to be getting a new one. I have Apple's going to be calling me Friday morning, Black Friday morning, and we're going to work it out. And hopefully I get it, with enough time to meet my deadline, because that's a little nerve wracking. I do have some physical artwork I'm going to start as well. I just, sorry, was distracted there. I just, to be honest with you, don't have the extra cash to go buy more supplies at this point. And this is a crunch, the holidays and just my other responsibilities. I'm the sole one working right now. It's just how it is. My wife's taking care of our son. So yeah, the walls are kind of closing in a little bit. That's how it kind of feels. And that's kind of why I need a little bit of a break. Well, I should say why I kind of took this little break after my iPad stopped working on me. So if you're just tuning in, welcome. I do see a couple people have joined us. I'll get into what I read. How about that? We'll talk comics. Before that too, I'm going to say this too. I didn't see Wakanda Forever yet. If you have, please no spoilers. I'm waiting for Disney Plus. One thing I did read about, not with Wakanda, but with the MCU films, it's a little disconcerting. I think that we can all agree, or most people agree, I should say, that the last Thor movie was just plain not good for a bevy of reasons. But I think, well, at least if you're like me, you were hoping that Thor would be coming back soon, maybe a chance to redeem himself, even if it's just for one film. And unfortunately, it sounds like that might not be the case. Or if it does, it's going to be a significant amount of time. I just read yesterday, Chris Hemsworth has decided to take an extended break from acting after he's done promoting his Disney series. I think it's called Limitless, where basically he travels around trying different ways to quote unquote extend his life. And apparently in the 5th episode, I haven't seen the show at all yet. I don't even know if it's on yet. But in the 5th episode, unfortunately, he learns that he's got a genetic predisposition for Alzheimer's disease. And he said, look, my grandfather's already affected by this. He is going in and out of English and his native language, which I think is Dutch or Danish. I don't know. And as a result, in Chris Hemsworth blood test, it came back something like, I think he's got like an increased, it's like either increased 8 or 10 times that he's going to develop Alzheimer's. So he's taking a little break off of acting, which, again, of course, I hope that everything's okay there. I hope his health is fine. But, for the MCU, it means that we're not going to see Thor for a while. And, maybe it is time to give Thor a break anyway, too. Considering he's been a busy Avenger, I guess you could say. Seth, did you say you saw, when you say I've seen this one, do you mean the article itself or the show? But yeah, I'm well, Alzheimer's could be prevented by diet. Yeah, I mean, that's what they're saying. Oh, my chat is a little delayed. more so than usual. So hey, Cup, I just saw you come in. Yes, like we without going into too much detail, we have a relative that's going through something similar, and yeah, I've seen a bunch of articles that eating things like blueberries and walnuts can help stave off certain conditions, but nobody really knows. Yes, it has to do with the show and about it. Okay. It's and I can tell you, seeing this firsthand, it is terrible and it's sad. And look, I hope that Chris Hemsworth and any who are in similar battles, let's say, hopefully everything's okay. Why don't we just leave it at that? So, talking about anything happier, I'm excited to see the Guardians Holiday Special. I think that comes out next week. That looks like a lot of fun. I don't know. I was trying to keep it a little bit lighter from there because I realized we took a turn. So pickups. I didn't pick up anything this week. I think I said that at the top of the show. Hey, Durs. Yeah, like I said, it's just that time of year. That's kind of how it is. And having to buy an iPad right before Christmas is kind of a big kick in the knees too. Sure thing has to do with getting away from all the Avengers and going a different direction for Phase 5. Yeah, Seth, I have a theory, and I haven't really talked too much about it because I'm going to do a full video on it. All I'm going to say, and again, saying this, let me get water, excuse me. Saying this, having not seen Wakanda Forever yet, I think that we're seeing a lot of different elements of some of the more recent Avengers story. Most notably, in my opinion, Time Runs Out. And again, I'm just guessing, but I think the Deadpool film is going to fit all into that as well. Psych, I think it's an hour. I don't know. I'm just guessing though. Yeah, so no new pickups. I know my pull list at my LCS waiting for me, but I talked about this a little bit last week. I am right now. I was going to wait, but I started a little bit, just kind of trimming down the pull list as well too. And the first spot I noticed I could save is just variant covers. I didn't jump on all the nice little variants because I came to realize that, yeah, they're cool. Some of them are really, really nice, but at the end of the day, what do you do with them? I don't particularly display them. There's some I love, I absolutely love, and I look at from time to time, but the majority of them, I'm not like on a daily basis, just this is nice, this is nice, this is nice. So, I guess that's a little bit of FOMO in a way. But I think I've been doing well, at least for the past 2 weeks, of avoiding some of these variants. Even Mike Del Mundo, who is one of my favorite artists. At one point, I was trying to get all the different variants that he was working on. And some of them I missed, and some of them are just way too expensive and unnecessarily so. I actually have one of his key covers I just purchased recently. I don't have it here yet because one of my siblings picked it up for me. Yeah, you're right, Bay. They're not going to be worth much in the long run at all. But, at one point I was telling my LCS, anything Mike Del Mundo, put aside for me. And, the only thing my LCS owner didn't really grab for me were some of these ratio variants that he wasn't getting in the first place, which, to be honest with you, I wasn't too mad at because usually they're on things I'm not buying. Like, I think he did a ratio for we only find them when they're dead. I'm not reading that. It could be a great story, but whatever. Del Mundo had a deal on his store. He has an online store where you could buy. He's doing a great variant cover. This one I did say I wanted. Of Miles Morales Spider-Man #1. If you have not seen this cover, check it out online because it's great. And he's like, oh yeah, you can order this from me and I'll sign it and do a remark for $150. And I stopped for a second. I was like, these aren't coming back graded because certain comic, I was trying to do the math. I think that was about what I paid for my Ultimate Fallout to be signed and slabbed and get a remark on it. So I was like, maybe if he was getting them graded, it'd be one thing, but I can't justify that, especially right now. Psych, let me see. I'm an old school one cover guy. Just do not care for those modern books. Spider Hulk, really? Is there a Spider Hulk book? I don't know. I would tend to think that if there is, it's a cash grab. I know that I kind of distance myself from these quote unquote cash grab books, especially you see them pop up around events. During World War Hulk, I happened to be reading Hulk at the time. There weren't too many books that I weren't reading at that time that veered away from the storyline, but they had this one called Hulked Out Heroes. And I remember because it was probably one of the worst limited series I've ever read. And it's not even good enough for $1. If you see it and it's in a dollar bin, it's too expensive. Wait until it hits like a 50-cent. Wait until they want to give them away. It's terrible. It's got no bearing. And it was basically like a group of 5 superheroes get Hulk powers. Leads nowhere. And it's definitely a skip. And at that point, when I spent that money on it, I was like, yeah, I'm not going into that kind of territory. And I kind of felt the same way a couple years ago when Marvel did the Infinity Warps. Some of them were great ideas, the stories. I hadn't really found one that kind of really was like 100% a hit. Off the top of my head, I don't even remember most of them, but off the top of my head, I remember Hex Witch. I think it was a Scarlet Witch Wolverine crossover, something like that. Hey, buddy, my little guy just came up from his nap, so you might hear little Grogu sounds, of course. Yeah, even that was like not great. Comics by the Bay, homage covers homage covers, excuse me, are starting to annoy me too. Yeah, I agree too. One of the things I'm going to say, and I'm going to say this with a grain of salt, only because when I first said this to somebody, they took it the wrong way. And I said this to somebody said one-on-one to, not online, and they didn't talk to me for a month when I said this. My wife probably knows exactly what I'm talking about now. When you said the homage covers look too similar, my mind goes to J. Scott Campbell. I like J. Scott Campbell's artwork. He's not my favorite. Oh, yeah. MT, buddy. Somebody just said hello to you. Seth11 just said hello to you, and he called you Baby Groot. J. Scott Campbell, not one of my favorites. I loved his early work, circa early Gen 13. Somewhere, I'm going to say within the past 10 years, I felt like he got very mechanical with his drawing, whereas all of the female characters, if you remove the hair, look almost exactly the same. And yeah, look, he could say Groot, I say Grogu. It's all sounds the same. And for that reason, I don't go nuts for J. Scott Campbell artwork. And I tend to think it's something, if you go to his site directly, anytime he works on something, he offers an exclusive CGC cover. And I feel like it's in a way like, well, I need extra grand this month. Let me make my own covers up and sell them through my own store. It's a little, I don't know what to call it. It's not, it kind of reminds me of like you're pumping up the value of your own stock. I don't know how to say that in a better way. But yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I've kind of gone back to, I kind of collecting wise have said, okay, is it something that I want to read, I want to enjoy? If it's not, pass. If it's something, and that's not to say I'm not against trying out new things, because I do that often, especially with independents. With the X-Men books, I'm getting a little bit better with, okay, I read this, did I enjoy it? And yeah, I've dropped even just my X-Men books. I was collecting, all of them around when Krakoa started. Marauders I dropped quickly after, I shouldn't say quickly, but I gave them a chance at least. No, it's fine, Seth. That's cool. But that kind of segues into stuff that I actually read this week. So this is New Mutants 29. This is a variant cover, but it's a standard variant. It's not a ratio variant. I have to say but I do love this cover. Rod Rice artwork, by the way, who it was reminiscent, in my mind at least, of Mike Del Mundo, honey. Remember Del Mundo?
Yeah.
Okay. So Rod Rice artwork, it's a little bit, little less stylized, we'll say, than Del Mundo. But I have to say, I really enjoyed this issue a whole lot. It's a standalone story between Daken and what's his name, Warpath, Thunderbird's brother. I should say this too. Rod Rice does not do the interior artwork. Let me see who does. I had written down the name and I forgot to bring that up. It's very close. The interior artwork is close to Chris Samney, but it's not Chris Samney. It's a little less polished than Chris Samney. I can't find the title page for some reason. Of course, now that I'm live. Here we go. Artist Guillermo Sana. Yeah, I think I've picked up a couple of Sana's work in the past. But here, I'll give you an example. Trying to find a well-done panel. This is cool. This is probably one of the better things in the book here. I just kind of like when they do these team ups instead of trying to do like a faux fastball special, which has been done a couple times. New Mutants early on actually had a very good version of it. I like this. You just had Warpath pick up Daken and kind of use him like a slice and dice here. This was probably my favorite read of the week. And look, I didn't read a whole lot this week, but it's still a great read. Excuse me. I like it. It's a story about siblings. I actually said to my wife, I'm thinking about, and actually it reminded me, I'll message Sean when I'm done. I'm thinking about actually buying each copy, a copy of this for each of my siblings. I have 5 siblings. I don't know that they'd appreciate it, but I think it's a very good brother, sister, sibling story. If you're a fan of Scout or Honey Badger, whatever they want to call her, she's involved in this too. And again, it's a standalone. So if you haven't read the rest of the series, you can pick this up and pretty much understand it right off the bat. Again, that's New Mutants 29. I highly recommend that one. I did read New Mutants number 30. This is a well-done book, a little thicker than all of them because it is the 40th anniversary of the New Mutants. Yeah, it's not much more of a cover price for it, $6.99. This is the standard cover. This is interesting. Let's see here. This is interesting because it is kind of like a compilation of different New Mutants stories, not ones that we've heard before, but kind of interactions between the characters over the past few years. And very well done. I liked it a lot. I did not read the Deadpool backup story yet because I assume that it's just a preview of Deadpool number 1, which I may or may not pick up. I haven't decided yet. That might be digital as well. But a good read, but 29 I preferred. And I have to say this with a grain of salt. I didn't know this. This was a little bittersweet because New Mutants 30 is the last New Mutants book for Vita Ayala, whom I've loved the job that she's done on New Mutants. I think she got a lot of grief, undeservingly so, from people who didn't read the book, who just said, well, these aren't my New Mutants. I was like, well, unless you're Marvel, none of them are yours. But I highly recommend her run. I am going to pick up the next issue, but I am not going to be as lenient with New Mutants as I was with Marauders. If I don't like it within 2 issues, it's done. I'm a little optimistic. David from Main Event Comics, who was on my last 7-minute stories, highly recommends issue 31. It's got one of his favorite newer characters, Switch. He did a whole video about it. If you don't know what I'm talking about or who I'm talking about, check out Main Event Comics. Great video. Again, great. Sorry to see Vita go, but hopefully we'll see some more from her soon. Dope, how's it going, my friend? I've been on my YouTube hiatus, and I just realized I have to catch up on Dope. If you don't know Dope Comics already, and I think most of you here do, but if you don't, you have to check out his stuff. Hilarious. Let me tell you something. I don't read horror comics, but I appreciate them, especially like the pre-cut. I just don't have the budget for that, or the interest, I should say. I've had times, honestly, and I think I said this to you, Dope. I had one time, I had a full thing of coffee in my mouth. I was working. straight on spit take. Well, comics by the Bay, sub him up. Trust me, and go back into some of his stuff because some of these descriptions alone, hilarious. And it's not all about that. He goes a little bit deeper. He did a video. Dope. Tell me if you know which one I'm talking about. About a month ago, he talked about how he built up his collection. Very, very well done. I have to say that. Very got me a little bit in the feels. I'm not going to lie to you. We're just going back, trying to catch up with the chat. Okay. In the 80s, I was giving up Marvel and turned towards indie books, even though I followed Alan Moore's Watchmen and the Swamp Thing. Indie Book Scout was pretty good. It was pretty cool. Yeah, and I'm trying to lean more towards some of the indie stuff now, too, because I might be just reading Marvel and DC digitally. But I've talked about that before. It really depends on what's going to be happening with the X-Men books. That's just what my interest is. I like the idea because in the end, it's all about family, Mr. Phil. Yep, and that's what I like about it too. This is actually, I don't do this often, but I've said to my wife, you need to read this comic. I've said to her before on certain comics, she's got to read them. You remember which ones we're talking, honey?
Yeah, you talking about the other one I read?
You've read a couple, yeah. There's been a couple I've handed to her, and I said, honey, you got to read this. And I think...
I don't have the
I
time
understand
to.
that. And I think for the most part, like I could think of a couple. I'm going to say 4 out of 5 of the stuff I've recommended to you, you've enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ms. Marvel, which that was, I think, the first thing that I said to you should check out. And yeah, she identified a lot with that. Maybe she'll come on and do a video or a voiceover one day about that. So you don't have to be on camera if you don't want to. Or yeah, She-Hulk. That wasn't the most. You did read the first issue of the most recent run, but it was the run before that, post Civil War II, which people were giving a lot of grief about. But I thought it was a well done run. The artwork was a little iffy, but that was about it. And you know what I think actually was no. You know what? You read that run, but you read a little bit of the Charles Soule one. That was the one that the artwork was iffy on, where she broke the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife is a paralegal. Non-practicing at the moment, but a paralegal, so I thought she would identify with that. She-Hulk is a very great, I think, empowerment, without sounding wokish kind of story. And it's been like that since before wokish was around. I'm going to just put it out there. What else? Origin you read, I remember. You liked that.
Spider-Man.
Which one for Spider-Man?
I don't remember which issue. Or,
was it a floppy or was it a trade?
I don't remember.
I know I've recommended Spider-Man Blue to you, but you haven't read that yet. Okay, she's read more than that. Yeah, the Vision series, I remember you liked.
Civil War, you said, right?
You didn't read Civil. Oh yeah, you did read Civil War. What was your thoughts on it? I don't remember.
It was okay. It was good.
The only thing I could.
Logan.
Yeah, that Origin. Yeah,
that was good.
The only thing I could think of that I remember you not liking was during Tom King's Batman run, I gave her a piece of one of the parts of the War Between the Jokes and Riddles and the penultimate wedding issue. Remember, you hated the wedding issue.
Yeah.
The non-wedding issue, we'll say that. But look, that's what it is. Travis
What was the one
back.
with the purple man? I remember that one.
Jessica Jones?
Is that the one? Yeah, I didn't like that one.
Oh, I'm surprised because you liked the first season.
Yeah, I didn't like the comic for some reason. I didn't like the way it flowed. It was creepy.
Yeah. Okay. So other things that I read. I only read 2 other books this weekend. They're X-Men related, again. Turn this podcast. Phil, did not know your wife read comics. That is awesome. I'm trying to get. She doesn't really. Like it's here and there. She's very busy during the day with the little guy. But occasionally, like this is one of the rare instances I've said, sit down and just read this. So how about this? Heidi, will you read this week? Mm-hmm. And then next week, and I'm saying next week because there's probably not going to be a lot of people next week. I know it's Thanksgiving weekend, but no, not you, buddy. You don't know how to read yet. He's trying to grab it because he sees the shininess. Will you give, and you don't have to come on camera, you can voice over your critique of this.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys heard it. Come back next week and you're going to hear
I read
my
another
wife.
comic just recently. The new thought or whatever that.
The new
was.
She-Hulk.
No. The one with.
Oh, the new
technology.
Think. Yeah, that was different. Yeah.
What was it called?
The new Think.
New Think. Yeah.
My wife is very. I'm trying to think of a way to say this. She thinks that we're too
More in tune with reality. Yes.
technologically.
What?
Well, I'm trying to think. She thinks many people are too technologically dependent.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it true?
To a degree.
I think.
I think there's extremes in
I've
anything.
seen a lot of people with their phones and they're walking right into you. Come on. I mean, that's kind of insane, don't you think?
Well, see, you haven't been out walking. You have to just start using the tactics like I do when I go to Trader Joe's. See, first of all, you may look right now, and I don't dress well for this show. I'm dressed like a slob right now. This is a T-shirt from the first Giants Patriots Super Bowl. It was, 2007? And, I do need a haircut, but I got my hair kind of popped out here. We go to Trader Joe's. I don't want people near me. I wear a mask, and it's all a tactic to keep people away from
You don't
me
understand. It's
at
not
the
a tactic
store.
when they have
Let me
technology.
finish. When people aren't looking at you, and I use this when people are on the phone too, especially now, I'll start doing a fake cough, and people get away. Actually, today at Trader Joe's, I didn't even tell you this yet. There was somebody who was oblivious, and I almost thought about pulling out my phone and doing a fake call. Like, oh, honey, no, I'm at Trader Joe's, but Rite Aid is out of tests. Maybe I'll try CVS next. Yeah, I know, probably sounds terrible, but you got to do what you got to do. Best protect your neck. Okay, I'm letting the chat go by me. Hold on. Phil did not know your wife. Okay. Seth, I'm going to turn this podcast into Phil and Family. This is so good. Let's go. Oh, thank you. Comics by the Bay, coming soon. Grutastic Comics and Art. That's your show, buddy. I guess they think you're Grutastic.
No.
Yeah. His nickname is MT, actually. Me and your son have a lot in common. I still don't know how to read either. Comics might be difficult for you then. Yeah. Comics by the Bay. I liked the first issue, New Think. The second one was The third one kind of lost me. I haven't read the others yet. Is that a good comic you are giving to your wife to read? Yeah, that's the one I just talked about. New Mutants 29. And, I try to look for common themes that I know she would like. There's a lot of comics, but she's helped me with my begging and boarding project and whatnot. And there's a lot of covers, especially from the 90s, that she doesn't care for or doesn't like. And she'll be quite verbal about that. Maybe we'll do that into a show one day too. We'll pick top 10 covers that you don't like, or top 5 maybe, and we'll discuss it. But there's also some characters, I think, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, it's just the little guy doesn't talk. There's also some characters you don't like plainly by how they look.
No, by the way they dress.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. Magic is number 1. And that's a shame, because I think if you liked the character, if you knew the character Magic,
there's a reason
you'd like her more.
There's a reason why I say that, though.
Well, save that for the episode when we discuss it.
Right.
See, that's a tease. Seth agreed with you on phones.
Good.
Such an awesome spin on cell phones and the role in everyday life, talking about the New Think. Look normal to me, Phil. Paul, you just didn't see me before this. I'll say this. I do like the look of having longer hair. This is a lot of maintenance, though, and especially...
I was going to say you do.
Yeah, the little guy. That's how you know. There's 2 ways you know that it's going to get cut. First is my wife's reaction. You do. And
no,
second...
I'm just asking, because you usually don't like long hair.
Second, about a week ago, so when am I cutting your hair, like, out of the blue?
No, you're the one who said to me, when are you cutting my hair? Don't blame it on me.
You cough, Phil, I'll just fart. Whatever works. Farts are more effective. But look, it's a 50-50 thing. Farts could go the other way on you, too.
So you don't want it to be cut. Is that what you're saying?
I do, but I don't.
Oh, see?
It's a lot of maintenance.
Don't put it on me.
The little guy, especially, sometimes I'm holding him, and his new favorite toy is just let me yank my father's hair as much as I can. And because he's 9 months old and you scream in pain, he thinks that's hilarious. Right, buddy? The coffee has kicked in, if you haven't seen yet, by the way. I figured that out. So the next stuff I read, X-Force number 31. This was a very good read.
There's something about the coffee that you get from other places, but not the one from home.
No, the one from home kicks into. I need a little bit. This is stronger. I'll say this, and this is more. This is 16 ounces.
You
Usually,
get hyper.
this is 16. Well, that's what happened with coffee.
I know, but not the ones you drink at home.
This is 16 ounces. Usually, I'll do 12 ounce in our
Wow.
Keurig here. Paul, Indian Lake Bistro. Coffee, food's okay, but the coffee's very good. Yeah, so X-Force number 31. Interesting concept. Kraven has come to Krakoa, and usually a Spider-Man villain, hunting the mutants, the X-Men, because he sees the X-Men as the new apex predator, the top of the food chain. First off, I love the artwork. I think it's just the cover art. I'm just double checking. X-Force, I've said this before, is one of the better done. Yeah, it's just the cover. One of the better done of the X-Men series. Benjamin Percy, I think, is doing a great job on it. It feels like an updated 90s book, which is I'm probably not really selling it well when I say that, but it's got the action and pacing of a 90s book, but it's more fleshed out. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. Cover's done by Josh Cassara, who is a great asset to this title. He's done a couple of the covers on this now. And first of all, and of course, this is a big tease. I just like the look. Kraven is wearing Beast as a headdress here. And he's got Deadpool on a spear. That's the only thing I haven't really liked about this whole story is really kind of how Deadpool was pulled into it. They do kind of, in my opinion, force a little bit of Judgment Day into this. Literally, the first 2 pages are the only tie into Judgment Day that I could tell in this. I'm not reading Judgment Day. I've said that before. I was avoiding it. Hey, Kenneth. Yeah, I mean, you don't really need to be reading Judgment Day to enjoy this. They do a good job of tying some stuff in, like you just kind of see little, I don't know what the Eternals send to fight them, but little guys kind of buzzing the island every now and then, and that explains why the top tier X-Men, so to speak, aren't available. X-Force has also done a good job at shining the light on some X-Men characters you don't typically see. Not the whole series. They did do a couple Wolverine-centric issues, but this one, all in all, I have to say I did enjoy. I like seeing Kraven study how to go after each individual X-Men. Despite how Deadpool's introduced into the story, I do think they did something a little original as far as him getting involved or trying to hunt Kraven. And yeah, I also like, I was just checking as a reference, how they approach Sage in this book as well. She's definitely not a top tier X-Men character, but they give her a really good amount of spotlight. X-Force, I have to say, the 3 standout characters in the whole series has not only been Sage, Beast, okay, maybe 4 then, Black Tom, who sounded a little goofy at first, but they really integrated him into this nicely. And Forge. Forge has been a big part of the series too. But yeah, X-Force number 31 I liked. The next one was X-Force 32. This is a Peach Momoko variant. I didn't pick this one. My LCS put that one in there because I probably would have went the regular one. I like Peach. It's either with Peach, I either love the work or hate it. This one is good. Wouldn't have been my choice. I'm not collecting the Miracle Man covers at all. But again, this is a standard cover, a standard variant, why don't we say, so it's no extra money out. And trying to think. Yeah, I mean, it shows Kraven doing some pretty despicable things, and you really kind of get an appreciation of how terrible he really is as a villain. Terrible in a good way, why don't we say that? Not terrible as he's a bad character. And I'm just kind of taking a look because I kind of forgot some of this, to be honest with you. Yeah, solid read. Was definitely a good read. So those are really the only things that I read this week. As I said to you before, I've got no pickups. Yeah, we're going a little bit quicker than normal here, but yeah, I'm hoping to record some new material soon. I can tell you Chad may be coming back in 1 to 2 videos very shortly. One of these videos might not even be for this channel, so stay tuned. I am going to get back to doing 7-minute stories once we have the iPad back. or once I just am back on a regular schedule, because I guess I don't really need the iPad to do that. Well, yeah, I mean, one thing is like the channel art, the title artwork, it kind of is lacking, in my opinion. But there are some people who I'm going to bring on in as guests, but they wanted to hammer that out after Thanksgiving. So you might see it ramp back up maybe in early December. In the meantime, I hope that everybody has a great weekend. I know that I've got to go out and do some leaves, and it's pretty cold here. So I am not looking forward to that. But I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of your week. And this is, yeah, Thanksgiving is Thursday. If you, I guess if you're celebrating Thanksgiving, whether you're with family, friends, or just on your own, I hope that you have a great Thanksgiving. And yeah, peace, love, and comics. Take care, everybody.